Welcome to an introduction on basic online legal research using a search engine and website called CanLii, C-A-N-L-I-I, and some people call it CanLii. You have, of course, the option between French and English, and so you don't keep on coming back to get that choice. You can click this box down here, remember my choice, and I'm going to choose the English. Once the page loads, you have a basic search page. Now, first of all, about CanLii, it's a non-profit organization managed by the Federation of Law Societies of Canada, and their goal is to make Canadian law accessible for free on the internet. There is an international organization which is responsible for helping governments reach their obligation to make the law available to their citizens, and CanLii is one of the organizations that appears to be funded in order to make that a reality. So you have various databases available on CanLii from the federal and all of the provinces. They're all hot linked here, and other countries you can do searches for as well. Now if you click on one of the other databases, that means you can just search within that particular database itself. So you can just go within and limit to a particular area that you choose. Now you can search all of the CanLii databases using these different criteria, a full text criteria with, again, you have specific search limiters that you can put onto your text, and there's tips here on how to use those. And if you have a particular statute name you're looking for, or case name, or citation, or docket number, you can just put that in there, again, those limiters. And a particular decision date if you're looking for something in that range, and this is the proper format. If you don't have it in the proper format, it won't come back correct, so make sure you do. And you can also limit your searches to legislation only, courts only, boards and tribunals only, or any variation of those three things. There are advanced searches, etc., but we can just start out with a basic here. Let's just search in the legislation for the term private person. Okay, so we'll search for that, and we'll find out what it's about. Oh, look at this. We have 71 results in. We limited it to the full text version. If you put just in the two words, you will come up with search results that have the term private used or the word person used, and you'll end up with a whole thousands and thousands of results, because those are very, very commonly used words. If you use the quotation marks, you'll limit the search down to that term private person. So there's 71 different instances of the term private person being used by legislation, provincial and federally. So you have a list here. You have the legislation, the year, what province or jurisdiction it's in, and then the actual link to the present existing legislation. So let's open that in a new tab and see what the Crown Liability and Proceedings Act addresses. It's federal law. Click on the tab, and it gives you all a history of the latest version and the regulations associated with it for provincial court. Interesting, the regulations. Now within law there are the actual act itself, and then the regulations, which are very different aspects to it but joined together. So you have the term private person listed here in this particular act a number of times. And this little box here tells you your search criteria. You can turn off the highlighting, as you saw. They highlight the actual term, and you can also fast forward to the first places it's used. So Canada Evidence Act refers to or it's subject to sections in the Canada Evidence Act where the Crown, if the Crown were a private person, so there's the term there, and he uses it again. You can forward to the next term on the page, and then the last time down here. So it is used in various acts. And if you want to check on another one here, let's find one that's interesting. Farmers and Women's Institute Act. I'm curious. Oh, another thing here is this one here lists two cases. This act has actually been referenced in a couple of different cases. So you can look at how the courts have utilized that act and how they've interpreted it. So here's the act itself, not regulations, but the act, and you've got the full list. These are all hot links to the various sections of the act and then the act itself. So here the term private person is used in the section about contracts, and that's section 13. A contract that's between private persons would be required to be in writing and under seal, may be in writing under Institute's common seal. So obviously there's a difference between private persons and something else, probably corporate or artificial type of persons. So that's an interesting application of the term private person. And let's see, what is its RSBC, so it's Provincial British Columbia 1996 version of the Act. And so that term, private person, is still actively used in provincial law under that particular act. So you can find various other searches around that as well. Now if we go back and we just look under courts, cut out legislation and just find decisions that have used the term private person, we'll come up with another bunch. We've got 8 pages here, 716 times in cases throughout Canada, provinces and federally, the term private person has been used by the courts. Now within the decision base here, you have the hot link to the decision itself, the year and the particular court that it's in, Court of Appeal, Alberta. And then these terms here are the terms that are the key legal concepts that are addressed, or evidentiary concepts that are addressed in the case itself. So they become a very good thing to reference. This one here has been using the term private person of full age, which is an interesting case once you know more about the concept of private person. So let's just click on that one and find out what it says. So here you can download the PDF printout of the whole case, and this is a link to the actual file itself. You'll notice up here in the search bar we have all of the search references, so it's a really long, ugly link. And this is the basic link to the to the actual decision on the database itself. Much easier to use and to cut and paste into things. And you can also get a search for all the times that this particular decision has been referenced by other cases. Another way of finding out how the laws and various concepts within the law are referenced by cases. This reflex record links you to the bottom, which actually shows you all of the decisions or legislation that are used throughout this case. Now here's this little search bar up here. We find out where they're going, and we have a reference here. This is actually the Crown Liability Act that they're quoting. Here's the hot link to the act itself, so you can go and find the actual source itself. And they changed the name to the Crown Liability and Proceedings Act, and there was an amendment. So this Part 2 Proceedings Jurisdiction 21(1)(a), the term private person is used. So it would have jurisdiction under the laws of that province if the claim were against a private person of full age and capacity. Now there's a difference between a private person and a private person of full age and capacity, and our more advanced educational programs cover that. So let's see if there's another reference. Let's see, down here, same act, Crown Liability Act, and this is an earlier version, 5253. Province sought in which a claim enforced on the part, if jurisdiction of the claim were against a private person of full age and capacity. So there we go again, and here's another one, Crown Liability Act 1985. Private person is referenced again. So that's a basic way that the CanLii search engine can be used to find information within all of the provincial, federal, and combined decisions of the courts, legislation as they're written, and anything from boards and tribunals. Hope that's helpful, and we'll talk to you soon.